Thank you, everyone, for attending. Without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Mets COO Jeff Wilpon.
Well, thanks, everybody, for being here. This is a very difficult day for me and the entire organization, our fans. David Wright is a Mets icon, one of the finest players and people ever to wear the uniform, Mets uniform or any uniform, and clearly our fan favorite. Despite more than 2 years of hard work, 3 surgeries, and a rehab assignment, his body is still preventing him from making it back. I've had many conversations with David, and he's told me he wants to end this year on our active roster. Based on his career accomplishments for this franchise and how hard he's worked over the past 2 years, David has earned the opportunity to return to the Major League field. Out of respect for him personally, professionally, and for our fans, we want to give him that opportunity. The decision has nothing to do with insurance or finances. It's about David's long-term health, his quality of life, and desire to get back on the field. Giving him the chance to return to the field is the right thing to do for David, our organization, and the fans. David and I, along with the baseball department, have agreed that he will be activated on September 25th at the start of the last homestand for the season. He will be available during that homestand and will start at third base against the Marlins on Saturday the 29th. You know, this is not what anybody wanted to be doing today. This is not where I want to be sitting. I know it's not where David wants to be sitting. All I can say is that he's given this his absolute best effort the last 2 years. All the conversations, all the things he's gone through, how he's gotten to have to make this decision is extremely difficult to watch, to be part of. And I know our fan base, you know, has nothing but the utmost respect for David as well as we do here. So, David, I know you have some comments you want to make.
Thank you, sir. This kind of caught me off guard. I thought we were going to announce an extension today.
Want a Jay's job?
You know, I have a lot of thank yous, and I typically don't like to take notes and come in here and speak on those notes, but there's a whole heck of a lot of people that I'd like to thank. So please, you know, bear with me. First of all, Mets ownership in the front office, they've certainly treated me like family the last 18 years of my life. I've been wearing this uniform or something similar for half my life now, and that's an honor that I don't take lightly and something that I take a lot of pride in. Certainly a special thanks to Jeff. You've certainly gone above and beyond for me and my family, and I appreciate you for allowing me to accomplish my goal of putting on the Mets uniform again as an active player. I think I'm hopefully out of tears for this one, but I spoke to the guys a couple minutes ago, and to my teammates, coaches, and staff. It's truly been an honor of a lifetime to take the field with you and serve as your captain. Some of my closest friendships have formed in that clubhouse, and we'll certainly, you know, be friends for life. To the fans, words can't express my gratitude and appreciation for always having my back. You've accepted me as one of your own, and that right there is a tremendous honor. To the media, especially the men and women on the beat, you've always treated me fairly, and I hope, as boring as I can be, I did my part to help you as much as possible. A special thanks to my agents, Seth, Sam, Millsy, Peter, and Matt. Thanks for always being there for me. Your loyalty has meant the world to me. And lastly, my family and friends. Mom, Dad, my brother Stephen, Matthew, Daniel, my in-laws, and of course my beautiful wife Molly, and girls, Olivia and Madison. You know as well as anybody, I take this game home with me, and I can be as difficult and stubborn to deal with when I'm not hitting. But I love you dearly. And thanks for always being my rock and my foundation. In closing, I always wanted to be on the field again, to have my daughter see me play. So needless to say, Saturday, September 29th, is extremely important to me. There's probably a lot of people that are left out, but I cannot express my gratitude and appreciation for everything that this organization has done, continues to do for me. I mentioned it before, but it's worth mentioning again. This is my extended family. I've been here for what feels like so long that I've formed relationships just not with players or staff or front office or ownership, but relationships that are of the utmost importance for me and people that I will keep in touch with for the rest of my life. You know, this is obviously a day for me that I am certainly happy with getting a chance to put this uniform on again. That has been my goal from day one. It's been a long road to get to that goal, but the love and the support that I've received from inside the organization, outside the organization, has been first class, and words can't express the gratitude that I have for everybody, and I really mean that, and I really appreciate that. I said it when I was a younger player, and I'll say it again. I truly bleed orange and blue, and throughout this process, the love and the support and the respect from inside and outside the organization has meant the world to me. Thank you to everybody involved, and you'll never have any idea how much it means to me. That support has really gotten me through these last couple of years of rehab.
At this time, we'll open it up for questions. Please raise your hand, wait for the microphone, state your name and affiliation.
Steve Gelbs, SMY. David, clearly this is an emotional day for you, but I wonder, what are the conflicting emotions with, on one hand, clearly accomplishing a goal that many people saw as pretty daunting for the last couple of years, to get back and put this uniform on one more time, while at the same time knowing that it won't go on beyond that?
It had always been my mindset, and I will say throughout this process, a lot of times my mind and my heart were telling me one thing, and my body was telling me something completely different. But at the start of this process, you know, it's always, you know, I can do this. You know, I can do this. And the goal when I was injured was to come back as the player that I expected myself to be. Once things ramped up and baseball activities got tougher, and certainly the games became, for me, more of just let me get through this and survive it. It became more apparent to me that that goal is now, I just want to put this uniform on again. And I needed the baseball stuff, and I needed the games for my body to kind of finally tell me, you know, it's not happening, it's not working.
David, just to be clear, because you didn't say it, but this is it, right? This final weekend, and then
I will say, physically and the way I feel right now, and from everything that the doctors have told me, there's not going to be any improvement. So, yeah, I don't see that as a possibility.
Dave Lennon from Newsday. David, just was there a point you mentioned when you ramped it up with the games? Was it the first game that you felt like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it now? I just have to switch my focus. Was it like the third game, or was it not that specific?
It was when I really started ramping up baseball stuff. It was, for me, it was always something. When I woke up in the mornings, and I've said this before, it was going to be something is always a concern for me. Whether it's my back, my neck, my shoulder. Some days that pain in any one of those three areas or all three of the areas could be moderate and manageable. And there were some days where it was, too painful to think about baseball. So I would say once, I started ramping up, and definitely, in the games, is when physically, I knew that I couldn't do it. I mean, for me to play the back-to-back games it was just survival mode. I mean, it was trying to think about things that I could do to not put strain on certain areas of my body, and I'm thinking more about protecting that than I am the actual game.
How hard psychologically was that for you, David, to such a struggle?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it certainly was, and I think that's the I won't say just as challenging, because that's not the case, but it's certainly been challenging mentally also for your mind and your heart to say go, 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 and your body to say not today, and it used to be, for me as a younger player, you had little things and you could go through that, but this just, it's those three things combined, or it's debilitating to play baseball.
Anthony DeComo, MLB.com, over here. You said after September it's unrealistic to think you'll continue. I guess when did you make that decision in your mind, and how difficult of a decision was it? Was there anything outside of the physical that went into it?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's been an open dialogue for me. I've tried to be as honest as I could with the Mets as early on as I could, and the communication it's been, for me physically, it's just been a struggle. And once, those games started, it was, play 5 innings the next day, it's just the results of those 5 innings were, incredibly taxing. And, again, it was just trying to get through it. So, the communication's been open, and that's why, the other day, I said that this rift that it hasn't been. It's been an open line, and they've known. I've tried to be an open book with the organization, and they've, in return, had great communication back with me. So, I guess if you're looking for a certain time, I don't know if that's possible. I mean, it's just been something for when you rehab for so long, and your expectations are that everything's going to be good. They fixed my neck, they fixed my shoulder, they fixed my back. The expectations are that I'm going to be the player that I expect myself to be, physically and production-wise. And then when you just can't do it physically, I mean, it's, it was a gut punch. But then I guess the optimistic side is always, give it a couple days and maybe everything just figures itself out, and it just never, physically just never figured itself out.
Mike Vaccaro, New York Post. David, you played the bulk of your career at an all-star elite level. no one will ever question that. Assuming that the game on the 29th, you're going to be playing third base, I mean, there's some apprehension on your part that, you just described all your physical ailments. I mean, that's not an easy position to play at the major league level, even if it's just a game. Any apprehension to what that will mean in terms of putting yourself out there like that?
Yeah, I mean, that's, obviously that's something that I've certainly thought about. I'm going to do everything in my power to prepare, for that game. But just like any other game, can you get hurt? Of course. Do I expect to get hurt? I hope not. But it's been something where I've been, preparing, although on a, because of, physically on a limited basis, but, and I was joking around with Jake a little bit earlier. I was like, man, I hope you're not pitching on that Saturday. And I'm sorry to whoever is pitching. I don't know, but I'll try my best out there, and certainly try to make the plays. I'm not going to go out there and I'm going to have fun with it, but also, I want to make the plays. I'd like to get a hit or two. So, that's my mindset right now.
David, Howie Rose, Mets broadcaster, WR Radio. I think you partially answered my first question. I wanted to ask two things real quickly. Do you envision playing the entire game on the 29th as opposed to an inning or two in the field and taking an at-bat or two? And secondarily, when you're finished and you don't have to go through the rigorous rehab of preparing to play a baseball game, what is your day-to-day life going to be like after this is over with? And will you be able to basically live a normal life without putting in the hours in the workout room that you've had to just to be able to get ready to play a game?
Yeah, I don't think we've talked about, as far as we've talked about playing, and I believe starting and playing third base on that Saturday. As far as the number of innings, I don't think we've gotten that far yet. I think a lot of it's going to depend on how, my body is going to respond to these workouts coming up on the road, and things like that. But let me tell you something. I'm just very appreciative of being able to run out there again and, kick third base. And, it's going to be emotional for me, but at the same time, I'm accomplishing the goal for me, and that was to, make it back out there and, put that uniform on. It's weird for me putting my uniform on when I'm on the disabled list or not playing. It just, it doesn't feel right. Excuse me. But it'll be great to put that uniform on again and to really feel like a player.
David, Steve Gelbs, SMY again. You have had an extraordinary career, one of the best in Mets history. Are you able to look at it in that way right now, or is it difficult not to feel like you had years taken away from you?
I like to look at it like I was extremely lucky to have the career that I had, surrounded by the people that I had. If I were to sit here and, play the what-if game, it would drive me crazy, Don't think I haven't thought about, not trying to dive for Carlos Lee. It runs through my mind, like, what could I have done? John Neese, get over there and cover third. It goes through my mind. So it's impossible to not kind of go back and think of, as far as things that might have gotten us to this point, or, but I love the game. I truly do. I love the game. I love it. I love the relationships. I love the preparation. I love talking baseball. Anything about the game that I miss it. I wish that things could have certainly turned out different for me physically. But as far as regrets go, I can't say that I have regrets because, I felt like I knew one way to play the game. I've tried to play that way. And there's not a lot of people out there that can say that, that they made it to the big leagues, that they got to be with one team for their entire career, and they got to captain that team, and, have the success that, at least in my mind, I'd like to think that I had.
Anthony Reaver from Newsday. David, is the 29th going to be the only time you appear during that homestand? Because Jeff mentioned you're going to be active as of the 25th. Is there a chance you're going to come out and get a pinch hit at bat in one of those other games?
I think that's a possibility, but it's also going to depend on the game situation. It's Mickey's, the captain of this ship. So if it's a possibility, and the Braves are also playing for a playoff spot. So if there's any soft throwing lefties in any of those bullpens, I might beat them up to the plate, whoever's supposed to hit. But, other than that, I'll let Mickey dictate the game. But, I'm really, really, really looking forward to that Saturday.
Ken Davidoff, New York Post. For David and Jeff and John, if necessary, I just want to make sure I'm inferring correctly. Is it correct you're not technically retiring after this, it's just you're medically unable to play at a major league level? Is that right?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
that's correct.
Okay, thank you. And so that was short. How much do you want to play that game next to Jose Reyes?
Of course, I've thought about it, but again, it's, I pulled a couple of the guys aside before I even talked to the team, because I felt like I owed a group of guys, to let them know first, and Jose was certainly part of that group, and I think he was probably the reason that I teared up so much, because he gave me a big hug, and you just can't help but to think about how this started, and then you get to this point, and it's it would be cool, but again, that's certainly not my call, and I really enjoy getting a chance to be around Jose, to reminisce a little bit before I had to put in all this extra work to take a swing, when I used to just be able to kind of roll out of bed and play the game. So it's been fun being around him for sure.
Scott O'Gara, AP. David, you mentioned your girls getting to see you suit up. How much of a driving force is that in getting back out there one more time?
Yeah, it's, I certainly have said it a million times. I say I love the game. I really, really am going to love that game because, they get a chance to see me play in the big leagues for the first time, and that's, that's no, for me, that means a lot. We got my 2-year-old Olivia out there, trying to teach her how to throw and catch now. So it's going to be special to, have her there for sure.
David, over here, Tina Cervasio, Fox 5 News, Fox 5 in the back. David, with all that you said about the game of baseball and your medical condition right now moving forward, has this given you the opportunity to think about what's next, and have you at all?
No. Again, Jeff has been extremely gracious in kind of asking me those same questions, and I don't know. I do love being around the game, but I also do love being around my family. I think I would like to stay involved in some capacity. I'm just not sure what that is yet. Because again, I mean this, when I went on that minor league rehab assignment, these 18, 19-year-old kids come up to you and they ask these questions, and I love sitting down and talking baseball. I really enjoy that. The same goes for up here, sitting with, Jake or Steven Matz or Wheels or, offensively, Jay Bruce or Jose Reyes, and just talking baseball, or asking Jake, how would you try to get me out? Just talking the game. I really enjoy that, and I'm So to answer your question, I would like to stay involved in some capacity. I'm just not sure. I'm not sure how that's going to be. But Jeff has asked me numerous times what interests me, and I've yet to find something other than baseball in my family that really interests me.
Mike Vaccaro from the Post. Jeff, as an organization, you guys have been pretty strict about these kind of things, pretty careful about numbers you retire and so forth. But do you expect that 5 will be retired, and will that be fairly soon, or is it something you'll discuss, or do you have even thought about it
No,
yet?
it's a great question, Mike. And I tell you, yesterday's announcement for Jay to head up alumni, PR, and the Hall of Fame committee, he's going to be reconstituting that group. And I'm sure that'll be something that gets put on the table with him and the rest of the group that makes those decisions and brings them, for approval. But I think that's something that, certainly would be great to see happen. When it happens and how it happens, I can't tell you right now. But, as all these questions are going around, you just realize what David means to this organization.
Thank you, gentlemen.
So I need to be nicer to Jay.
Can I add one thing? I just want to, I've been quiet up here, but really on behalf of the front office, Omar's here, Sandy Alderson, Jim Duquette, I've had the really the privilege of a front row seat from the beginning. When I joined the Mets as assistant GM in May of 2004, a couple of months before David got called up, one of the first decisions I was a part of was whether we should bring him up. He was killing it in Double-A, and I didn't know much about him, knew he was a high pick, but all I heard was this kid worked his butt off every day and actually was working too hard. We had to back him off, and we were debating, okay, do we bring him straight up from Double-A or have him go to Triple-A? Well, we had him go to Triple-A for a little bit, and then he came up and just hit the ground running. And like I said, I've been privileged to watch his career. I know everybody knows all about the on-field heroics and the great plays and the great moments, but a couple of things stand out for me. One is, as a 22, 23-year-old, he forms his own charitable foundation. That's David, always thinking about others right from the get-go. That's what he was about. And, not only was he a person who taught a lot of life lessons to his teammates, but he taught them to us in the front office as well. The other thing he did for us, in the clubhouse, and I hear it from you guys all the time, I hear it from other club executives, we've had a really good group of guys for a really long time here, and it's in a huge part due to David's presence. I mean, he is a consummate professional, talks about working hard, but most importantly, a respect for others and a respect for everybody who came in that clubhouse, whether it's a teammate, a member of the media, a front office employee. I think he's taught a whole generation of Mets how to act, and I know he's passed the baton to the younger guys who are in there now. We're going to miss that more than anything. So again, there's a lot of on-field, but for me, the off-field things that I saw and learned from him, I'll take with me, on into the future. And I really hope he's, a part of everything we do from this point forward. So.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.